Hello guys, welcome to today's video, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today I am doing something a little bit different. I have previously been doing videos completely with just tips, but today I am talking about Peru. Now with today's video I'm also going to include some footage from my trip when I was in Peru, because back at this time I was considering starting to vlog, so I did take quite a bit of footage. So today I'm going to include a little bit of vlogging with some tips as well, of course. So hopefully you like today's style of video. If you do, make sure you give me a thumbs up so I know, so I can do more videos like this, and hopefully you guys enjoy.
So I unexpectedly fell into the life of a nomad. I've been traveling the world full-time, on a budget, and doing it solo. I want to share with you everything that I've learned along the way, so join me every Tuesday for tips, tricks, and recommendations.
So Peru, it is a country that I absolutely fell in love with. I seriously love Peru so much, and I was so shattered when I had to leave, and 100% I will be going back for an extended stay. But Peru is one of those countries where, I mean, you always hear good things, but as a solo traveler, people are always a little bit iffy. So especially when I told my mum that I was going to Peru by myself, she was a little bit like, but once I told her how I was going to be traveling Peru, it definitely put her at ease. I want to share with you how I traveled Peru, because it was seriously an amazing experience. The company that I traveled with was really what made it what it was. It made me feel completely safe. It made it so easy to meet people, but I wasn't restricted in any way, shape or form. With my Peru vlog, I am going to be talking about my Peru section, and then I'm going to be doing a separate video on my Inca Trail and Machu Picchu experience. Now, the company that I traveled with was a company called Peru Hop. I'm going to tell you all about how it works, my experience, kind of the information that you need and want to know about this company. But personally, I pretty much think it's perfect. It was seriously an incredible experience, what can I say? Now, Peru Hop is a hop-on, hop-off bus company, but the great thing about it is not restrictive at all. They have a hop-on time and hop-off time, so you just need to obviously plan your schedule to the hop-on and hop-off times, but apart from that, you are completely free to do whatever you like. Is firstly, you need to decide how much time you have and the kind of stops that you want to be stopping at. So obviously you're going to need to go onto the Peru Hop website, but they have day trips that you can do. They also have, if you have 5 days, if you have 1 week, if you have more than 2 weeks, they have different options of the ticket which you can select. I chose the full south to Cusco option, and I chose it in the direction of Lima to Cusco. So all of these trips are one-way directions, so you can choose whether you want to start at Lima, if you want to start at Cusco, if you want to start at Arequipa. It just depends on where you're wanting to start, and you can travel from, you know, north to south or south to north, whatever you want to do. Now, the great thing about this ticket is it is actually valid for a year. So I can purchase my ticket that goes the full south to Cusco, and it is a ticket that they recommend you have at least 2 and a bit weeks, I think it is. Now, the great thing is, if I have 3 months to travel, that's totally okay as well. I can do the itinerary in as stretched out amount of time that I would like within that year. Now, the great thing about this is it means that you can have as little or as much time in a spot as you want. Now for the most amazing thing about Peru Hop. You really don't have to plan a thing. And if you know me and have watched my other videos, you'll know that I absolutely hate planning, and it is probably my biggest downfall as a traveler, I would say. But you don't have to plan a thing. So when I booked my Peru trip, I thought it was so weird that I was like, okay, my ticket was booked and I didn't have to plan anything else. And I was like, this seems so weird. But you really don't have to plan anything else if you don't want to. So the great thing is, when you are on the bus, they have their recommended tours that you can do, recommended accommodation, and they also tell you some food places that you can also stop off at as well. The great thing about the tours and accommodation which they recommend, they are all really amazing and they are very affordable as well. I did most of the added on tours which they recommend, and they were so cheap compared to, for example, when I went to Mexico and tours are still like $80. The ones in Peru were like $20, apart from obviously the 2-day Colca Canyon track, which is quite a bit more expensive because you're trekking for 2 days, but it was still, once again, very affordable for a trekking adventure. Them recommending accommodations and tours and things, they pretty much have a set itinerary that you can follow on your travels if you would like. So if you want to travel a little bit quicker and you only have 2.5 weeks and you don't have 3 months to be staying at stops for longer, you can actually follow exactly the itinerary that they plan out for you. But remember that you don't have to. You can absolutely pick and choose what you want to do. One thing that I do want to say is, if you follow the itinerary to a T, you are more likely to stay with the same group of people the entire time. Although this isn't always true, because there's always going to be people that aren't following the itinerary to a T. I did find, obviously, all the way up until Arequipa, I had the same group of people, and then after Arequipa, when I got on another bus, I was with a new group who kind of all knew each other. But then by the time I got to Cusco, all the people that were on my previous bus were there, so then I got to meet back up with them. but it was still really good. It's so easy to meet people, but do keep in mind, the more that you veer from that recommended itinerary, the more that you'll find that you're splitting up from your original group, which is totally not a problem because you can meet new people. But I find when you first get on that bus, you get those tighter connections just a little bit quicker compared to when you're getting on the bus halfway through and the other people kind of already know each other. So just keep that in mind. You have the option, if you want to pre-book your accommodations before via their recommended list. They send you a pack that tells you all of this information. So you can either pre-book it if you're worried, or if you really want to make sure that you have a spot in that hotel, hostel, whatever it may be, or you can wait and book it on the bus. Now the great thing is they accommodate for all travelers. So if you're a solo traveler, if you're traveling in a couple, if you're an older traveler, when I was on Peru Hop, I seriously had everything from solo travelers to couples to, there was an older couple that were probably in their 50s, and it really accommodates for everyone. Some people were staying in hostels, other people were staying in hotels, all from the recommended list, and you can book that on the bus if you would like. I personally recommend, if you are a solo traveler, I would leave it to booking on the bus, because I got a little bit paranoid before I left, and I was like, oh well, what if there isn't any accommodations left in those hostels when I go? So I freaked out a little bit there, and I booked a couple of them, and I kind of wish that I hadn't, because as a solo traveler, once you're on the bus and you meet people, I had wished that I hadn't booked my hostels, because then I could have stayed at the same hostels that they had. Now, if you are someone who wants to go with the flow when you are traveling, generally what happens is when you first book your ticket, you can set your itinerary. So that way you select which buses you're going to be on, what times you're going to be picked up. For example, if I'm not following the itinerary to a T, then I would say this is how many nights I want to stay in Arequipa, and I would put that in my schedule. If you want to change anything, for example, if I'm in Huacachina and I decided, no, I want to stay here longer, then you can absolutely change the dates of when you want to hop back onto the bus, but you just need to do everything with 12 hours notice. So obviously you pretty much book your seat on the bus, and you need to do that 12 hours in advance, and obviously you can only get on the next bus that you're wanting to get on if there is a seat available, which totally depends. I always found that that was the case, although I did meet someone somewhere who was trying to book a seat and there was no seats available. So do just keep that in mind when you are traveling last minute. As a solo traveler, Peru Hop is so great because you always have the option if you want to be by yourself or if you don't want to be by yourself. So if you want to spend the evening by yourself, you absolutely can. If not, generally, well, my tour guide did, set up a location for everyone to meet for dinner. You also have the option for drinks and things if you want as well. So you can spend the night with people or you can spend it by yourself, whatever you want to be doing. So once I arrived in Cusco, I was finished with Peru Hop. I had had an amazing time, but now I had all of these new friends, many of which were in Cusco. I couldn't go a day in Cusco of walking around without seeing someone that I had met on any of my adventures along the way with Peru Hop.
I was so lucky that there was a very large religious festival on in Cusco while I was there. It was so amazing to see such a large part of their culture, even though the city was completely crazy while I was there.
forget when you're in Cusco that you have to go out salsa dancing, because the salsa life there is incredible, and I don't know how to salsa. I learned a little bit when I was there, but watching some of the Peruvians salsa dance is insane. So since I had extra time in Cusco, I decided that I would do something a little bit different, and I decided to go to a place called Aliantai Tumbo. This is where I close up today's Peru video. Next on my journey, I began my Inca Trail. So like I said, I'm going to do a whole video on the Inca Trail. If you have any specific questions that you want to know, put them in the comments below for me. And also let me know what you guys think of Peru Hop. Would you travel with them? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week.